Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chat with Al, and we've got the usual suspects plus one. We have Dog Sidious. We have the original Grognard. We have, I think he's still there behind door number 3, Stratomatic Delaware. You know him as Chris. And we have the one, the only, Comics with Bueller. Thank you very much, my friend. And you know what? Seeing that you're the new guy, Comics with Bueller, you're going to go last.
All right. That's all right with me. I don't mind going last.
Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much to all the good friends of the channel who join us on this panel. This is a show for the whole community. And next week, we'll be on Dog Sidious, and hopefully on prior weeks, weeks to come, we'll be on Stratomatic Delaware, and then OGs, and so on and so forth. So, Dog Sidious, the floor is yours. Tell us what's going on as I say hello to people in the chat. Hello, everyone in the chat.
Hey, what's happening, folks? Great to see you here, and thanks for having me, Al. And great to have Comics with Bueller on tonight. Great to see OG and Chris. And, yep, I'm Dog Sidious, in case folks don't know. I do a Star Wars and entertainment channel. I also do Final Fantasy 14 live streams, as well as Mass Effect Andromeda and other games. So that being said, Ohio State has just scored a touchdown and has taken the lead on Penn State. So I figured I'd let folks know that real quickly. Just wanted to say hi to folks in the chat real quickly. Phantomatic, Ken Castro, JD, and if I missed anybody, I'm sure I'll catch up later on tonight. But that being said, I'll hand it over here to Chris from Stratomatic Delaware. He can let us know what's happening with his channel and things of that nature. So, Chris, great to see you, buddy.
Dog, Al, Devin, Trey, great to meet you guys. Trey, first time with you, man. It's fantastic. Been in a couple of your live streams. It's good to see you. Hey, this is Chris, Stratomatic Delaware. You know what I'm about. Tabletop retro sports games, APBA, Stratomatic, payoff pitch, inside sports, digging deep. You name it, I've got it. I even got the demo for Dice Racing, the NASCAR game that Gen 1400 Games has. So I'm looking to get into that. Want to get some APBA football up on the channel soon because I haven't done APBA football on the channel yet. You know, there's baseball's always in the mix. Just looking at what I got on the shelf here. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Want to get the APBA saddle racing game out that I made from the patent drawings. Earl from Tabletop Baseball Plus, Earl with an E, put a race up this evening. Great game. Check it out. But, yeah, we're here with Al, my good friend, Dog, Devin, Comics with Bueller. Welcome to the live chat. Chaos will ensue. Devin, hit it.
Hey, everybody, it's Devin, the OG, the original Grognard. And if you know me, you know my channel, or even if you don't, I'm a strategy, tactical, historical war gamer. Do a lot of tabletop gaming, but I've started to stream some computer games here recently. Been digging into John Tiller Software's Sea Lion 1940, hypothetical German invasion of England a couple weeks after Dunkirk. Also do some sports gaming. I have a football league through second season that I'm going through, a hypothetical league that I'm going through, and I occasionally have a female wrestling league that I'll occasionally break out for Face to the Mat Wrestling. But yeah, I'm the OG. Not too much more to say about that, and I think I'll give it right back over to Al.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. So we have OG, Chris from Stratomatic Delaware, and Dog Sidious, and now to our illustrious guests, Comics with Bueller.
Hey guys, first thing, we got to go back around to that female wrestling thing a little bit later tonight. It sparked my interest. But you know, I want to say first, I'm a big fan of your guys. So I was very excited to find out that you guys wanted me on the channel, and so I'm pretty happy. I'm kind of a little kid in the candy store right now. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And secondly, if you want to know about my channel, it's called Comics with Bueller. guess what it's about? It's about comics with myself. And I pretty much cover everything having to do with comics, with new releases, old releases, investment videos, just things I like. And it's a lot of fun. I do a lot of live streams every now and then, and I enjoy it. And I'm just happy to be here. So thank you so much. And I'm willing to talk about anything. So let's get the ball rolling.
Thank you very much for being here, Comics with Bueller. So my first question, how did you, I know it's a standard question, but I'm always interested in this. How did you get started? You told a wonderful story with you and your mom on your first comic book. Would you like to share that and how you got started with your love of comics? That was a great story you told on your channel one night.
Sure. So I started, first off, I started buying comics at like a grocery store when I was very little. I used to get a small, like a $2 allowance. I'd ride my bike into town and buy some books that are on the little spinner rack at like the local Safeway or grocery store and stuff. But when I got a little bit older, my mom took me to my first comic book store. And I think it was probably like 9 or 10 years old. And I remember just walking into that building and just seeing all the color and all these superheroes jump out. And my mom said, go ahead and pick out whatever book you want. And so I went and I picked out this book. It was called Contest of Champions. And I keep misplacing it. I don't know where it's at. It's somewhere in my collection. But it literally had every Marvel superhero that there was at the time was on the front of the cover. And awesome. So she bought that book for me. And I brought it home, and I still have that book today. It's my most important book. As far as value-wise, it's only maybe a $10 or $15 book. But it's something like that holds that memory that I've had for, 28 or no, I don't even want to think about.
You're old like we are.
Yeah, like 35 years. It's just a great thing to have. And I was hooked from that day on. I was like, that's it. I love comics. I can't wait to come back. I can't wait to start collecting. And that's where it all started.
I love that story. I think that's the first time I went by your channel. You were talking about comics, and you relayed that story, and I said, this is the guy for me. I love it. So I'll turn it over to Dog and see if he has any questions or thoughts for you. Thank you for sharing that story. I have a few more things I'd like to discuss with you, but I'll turn it over to Dog and see how he'd like to discuss some stuff.
Yeah, just interesting. I guess I'll just kind of share what kind of got me, I've been sort of like in it and out and then kind of in and out, that's kind of the way I've been with comics. And I was really lucky to find Bueller's channel, and I was just absolutely mesmerized by all the covers he was showing in a video, basically, right? I mean, I was just like, he was talking, but I was just like absolutely just looking at all these covers and things of that nature, right? And I just loved his channel, and then all the interviews you had done. I guess I wanted to share, I guess, my story. Growing up, you'd heard about Superman, and I wasn't really at the age where I could really read the comics or anything of that nature, right? So I'd see the old TV shows and George Reeves and things of that nature, right? Yeah. And I remember my uncle sharing with me, because I had this comic of there was a Spider-Man and a Daredevil team up, and they were taking on this villain called the Owl, and I was just like fascinated. I was like, wow, there's actually stories to these things, right? And it got me into reading a lot more too, I think. And so I really appreciated, and I was, because my uncle basically had read the story to me, and I was like all engrossed into it. And, I think after that, I was more into DC with, like Batman, of course, and, Superman and Wonder Woman, and then a lot of the Marvel ones I liked were Daredevil and Spider-Man, of course, right? And but my favorite comic book character is Conan of all time. So I mean, I have a lot of Conan comics. I was kind of showing a little bit of those off to Al and Chris last week. Yep. So I guess my question would be to you, comics. I've rambled enough here. Who's your favorite comic book character? I guess it's kind of broad. You don't have to. I guess you can maybe talk a specific genre, if you will.
Sure.
Like I said, my favorite is Conan. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, first things first, you were talking about comics and how they got you to read. Little history to that. I used to do my book reports in school on comic books, and I would just change the characters
Right.
so that the teachers wouldn't know I was talking about Batman. But they did the same thing. They helped me read. They got me into reading. So I mean, that's
awesome.
the great thing about comic books. But as far as like some of my favorite characters for DC, I can answer this question hands down. For DC, it's definitely Batman. Batman's always been the one I've liked for DC. It was really the only title I was reading from DC when I was young. The rest of the titles really didn't grab me all that much. And then as far as Marvel, I don't know if I have a favorite character in Marvel, but I had a favorite team, and the favorite team was the X-Men. That was the one that I really got into when I was probably around 11 years old. And the writer was Chris Claremont, and he wrote that series for over 20 years straight. And just to have the continuity of one writer working on a book like that, it drawed me right to it. I like they were kind of mutants, were like outcasts, and they were frowned upon type thing. And I just kind of like the dynamic of that.
Sort of like small YouTubers.
Yeah, like small YouTubers. Yeah. But that's what I would have to say. Batman for DC, hands down. Marvel, it's tougher, but favorite team, I can put that down, and that's the X-Men.
Fantastic. What's your take there, Chris? Do you have any favorite characters? Favorite? Are you a DC or a Marvel guy, as they say, or something totally out there?
I was a DC guy for the longest time through my teens and 20s and everything, because those were the movies that were produced, Superman, Batman, whatnot. But not until the Marvel Universe came back out did I realize how much I loved as a very young child Thor, Submariner.
Chris is breaking up.
We're
Marvel guy.
Lose Chris there. Hang on a second, Chris.
Hold on, Chris. It's tough to hear you, buddy.
We're losing you, buddy.
1 second here. This is a great topic, though. Let's not lose this one.
No.
Hey, what's happening in there?
Somebody
ID Jester.
Okay.
Manuel, Christian, Rivera. I wanted to say hi to those folks, too, anyway.
Yep. Oh, actually, before we go to Devin, I forgot. Let's do the shout out to friends of the channel in our community. As always, thank you very much to Comics with Bueller. If you haven't subscribed to that channel, please do. All things comics. Stratomatic Delaware with Chris. Excellent retro sports card and dice. The original Grognard OG Devin Military Strategy channel. Dog Sidious, no introduction necessary. It's Dog Sidious, all things Star Wars and entertainment. Ron Juckett, Retro Sports Network. And Broke Black Man 94, who's now Fandom D Saint. Holy cow, I remembered that one. JD, who's in the chat, check him out. Lots of video gameplay, and he's an author. What's Blazing in Sports for your boxing needs. Eric from Higher Ground Gaming, Retro Sports. ID Gestures in the chat. He just has a wonderful channel. I can't even describe it. It's marvelous. Go there, subscribe, see it for yourself. RNGIDP. Strat Baseball. Phil the Issues guy. If you hate me, blame it on Phil. He's the one who got me streaming. All things TV and movies. Game of Thrones. What about Better Call Saul? I was going to say, what about Bob? Better Call Saul and Walking Dead. Yeah, a little off there. Espo Strat Baseball Network. Tabletop Baseball Plus, the two Earls. Mosley Boxing, another wonderful boxing channel. Omen Eno, video gameplay. EO Sports League with Elin. Bleacher Bums Gaming with Anthony. We got to have him on soon, as well as ID Gesture. Johnny Indie Boots, Game of Thrones. Max Cornelius, Action PC Sports. Tribes Fan 879. Strat Baseball. AU Pack Mules, just an absolutely wonderful human being. Clinton Parks. Retro Baseball, Mr. Utah Mike. Citadel of Trivia, Milt's in the chat. Check them out for trivia. They're on every Friday. Itinerary Hobbyist, Military Strategy Channel. Chrissy of Old Stone's wonderful reading voice. She does wonderful narration. She has a big Halloween extravaganza coming up with spooky stories. John St. Baptiste, All Needs and Music. Appa Replay, Lady Wolverton's Den, Johnny B. Crazy, and LMR. All big Game of Thrones fans. Oh, I made it through.
Good job, Al.
That's quite the list. That's awesome.
And it's growing.
He's amazing, isn't he?
Come be a part of a wonderful community. No one better than us, all of us. I'm biased. I like us. All right. Is Chris from Stratomatic, Delaware back? Because he probably wants me to shut the hell up.
No, I don't want you to shut up, but yeah. Just to sum up what I was saying, DC was all I knew until Marvel Universe came out, and then I remembered how much I loved those characters when I was much younger. Submariner, Thor, two of my favorites of all time. And I want to jump in real quick up the chat a little bit. ID Jester threw out with Bueller. He wanted to know what's your take on the.
We're losing him again. Is it me or are we losing him?
I think Jester's got a question. I also have a question for Chrissy when we get this kind of squared.
Not just for Chris.
Okay. So ID Jester had a question. Did you hear that, Bueller? He had a question. ID Jester.
Yeah, I think I see it in the chat. I think he's asking
Venom movie.
My thoughts on the upcoming Venom movie. What's coming out? I think it's coming out next week, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. You know, here's the thing about Venom. Venom came out around the time when I wasn't really almost starting to collect, did not collect comics. Is when that character came out, and that Venom character itself, I think it's a hard translation into the cinematic universe because it's all CGI that they have to use to do it, and I wonder if it's going to look real enough to pass. It reminds me of like when they come out with those old or the Star Wars prequels, and they had so much CGI and they just look so fake. I kind of get that same impression with Venom because it's such a hard character to make look good on the screen. It didn't translate well when they did it on Spider-Man 3, I think it was.
Exactly.
But I love Tom Hardy. He's one of my favorite actors. Him and Mad Max was awesome. So I have confidence in that role. But the CGI effects, if they're not good enough and if it pulls you out of it, I'm going to lose my attention on it really fast.
That's a good answer. You know, when you said the CGI and about the prequels, that's what killed me with the prequels. I mean, some of the storyline I didn't like either, but it was all the CGI. And I Am Legend with Will Smith had some not so good CGI, and I love the story. I've seen all the different versions of that, but yeah, great point. Great question, ID Gesture. Thank you very much. And remember to sub Milt's new channel. It's in the chat. Chrissy put it there. Thank you, Chrissy. So, do you see any other? I haven't looked at the chat. I apologize. I'm looking real quick. I don't see anything else.
What was your take, Devin? Were you a big comic book fan?
Oh, I was a huge comic book fan. I don't. Relative age of all of us are similar, and I was born back in the 60s. So growing up in the 70s as a single-digit child, it was a lot of Richie Rich, Archie, Casper the Ghost. You know, the traditional kids-type cartoon comic books. But when the Star Wars movie came out, and Marvel introduced the Star Wars comic book series, that's what kind of started getting me into it. Started collecting them all. I just thought it was just absolutely phenomenal. It's like, hey, there was this movie that basically was forming my life in my formative years, and here's a comic book that I can read along with it. I would say my big leap into collecting comic books was in '82 when Marvel released the G.I. Joe series. I really enjoyed that original series, and from there, you know, I started getting allowance. I started buying comic books and stuff like that. But I can't really say I was ever really a Marvel or a DC guy one way or another. I mean, I love Sergeant Rock. That was DC. The Haunted Tank, Weird War Tales, all that. I mean, I've got 4 tomato boxes full of comics still over there. Probably 1.5 of them are just full of Sergeant Rock comics. Favorite character. Absolutely love Sergeant Rock. I was actually more drawn to the independent stuff, you know, Warp Graphics and the ElfQuest series, Scout, the Judge Dredd, when they were bringing Dredd over from Britain. It was the independent stuff was the stuff that I really, really enjoyed. Warlock 5, Dead World. Yeah, it's just, if it was an independent comic book, I was all over it. Now, I will admit, aside from Sergeant Rock, Longshot, the mutant that was in X-Men for a little bit of time and then had his own series, was probably one of my favorite characters of all time. Hey, there it is.
Right
there it is.
I've got that issue over in my collection. Yes.
You can ask and I will produce.
Awesome. So, and I kept up with my trying to be in my comic books up until I went into the service, and I came home on leave a couple times, and the comic book store I had, was holding, my monthly subscriptions, and I came home one time and it was like $250 for me to get my comic books. And it's like, no, I'd probably back off a little bit. So yeah, I kind of right around the late 80s, early 90s, I kind of got out of comic books, and I've only kind of been keeping a cursory eye on them since then. So, but yeah, I there was a time I was a huge comic book fanatic.
Question from the chat. Sorry to interrupt, guys. From ID Gesture again. What does Bueller or anyone else think of the new Diablo comics?
Well, I mean, I'll jump on that. I don't know. I haven't heard of the Diablo comics.
That's from the game, right?
I'm familiar with the game, the PC game and stuff. From the very beginning. I think what are they on Diablo 3 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But I haven't. I don't know too much about the
I guess
Diablo
it's coming
comics.
out in November. So
okay.
So it's not out yet.
No, I haven't heard either.
What are your thoughts, Bueller? Because I watch your channel and you say, again, you're just telling people, this might be a hot comic. You want to pick this up now and hold on to it. Possibly it could be. What are your thoughts on what, in your opinion, makes a like a hot comic? Like you had mentioned, Stranger Things.
Yeah.
The other couple of videos back that they had just come out. Awesome. So why do you think Stranger Things? I mean, I know what, but I mean, yeah. I know why I think it's a hot comic. Why do you think it's a hot comic?
Well, it depends on your definition of hot. Hot? Do you mean hot as in it's going to have some monetary value, or hot as in just a good enjoyable?
I think most people who do collect just hold it for themselves. I mean, some people do sell, but I think just like it'll have legs, or I guess value, yes, because if it lasts, it has value. But more just what do you think? Well, do you think it'll have longevity, or does it just go as far as the Netflix show goes?
Well, as far as the Stranger Things comic that just came out, this actually just came out on Wednesday. It's only a 4-part series.
Okay, so it's a short one.
Yeah, it's a very short one, and it's by Dark Horse, and Dark Horse usually does monthly books. It'll be a 4-month run. And what's neat about that one is everyone's probably familiar with the Stranger Things TV show. Obviously, it's Netflix's #1 show that they have. The story, the plot line on this is, if you remember the first season when he's running out and he thinks something's chasing him before he goes into the Upside Down. I think that's what they called it.
Yeah, the Upside Down. Yeah.
That's where this comic book takes off, when he first arrives in the Upside Down and what happens to him during all that time that he's in there, up until the point where his mom and them get him out. So you don't really learn about that in the TV show. You just know he's there. So this comic bridges the gap and tells you what's going on as he's there. So I think that's kind of interesting. The first issue wasn't all that great, to be honest with you. It's kind of slow and a little boring, to be honest with you. But, with a 4-issue series, hopefully they pack a little bit more punch.
So they're going to have to pick up the pace then.
They're definitely going to have to pick up the pace a little bit, but it's going to be popular because the one thing is Stranger Things, it's going to have that broad appeal that not just a comic book, but with all the fans of the TV show are going to be, I want everything Stranger Things type thing. So they're going to come in and buy the book. So they printed like 5 different covers, and there's a lot of exclusive covers to different comic shops as well. So it's going to be a hot selling book. As far as a monetary value, if it'll ever be worth anything, probably not. It's just it's kind of weird in today's comic book scene. What makes a book worth something? It's not like it used to be, obviously, with the with TV and movies and all that stuff. And oh, here's this movie coming out about the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then all of a sudden the Guardians of the Galaxy books go up in price. Or here's a movie about Iron Man, who Iron Man was a B character for Marvel, and his books weren't that much. You know, easy to pick up a first appearance of Iron Man. I mean, not easy, but not like it is now. But when that movie hit years ago, it just skyrocketed.
It all depends what's coming out then, basically. Yeah.
It used to be based on, and I wish it was like this still, but it's not. It used to be based on storyline. It used to be based on the writer. It used to be based on the artist, or a #1 issue, or a first appearance. It's gone away from that. And now it's gone to Hollywood first, and then the variant. Like this is a 1 in 25 variant cover, a 1 in 50 variant cover, and I can't stand that. those are the worst. Yeah. But that's what it is now.
Let me go to the chat real quick, and then we'll turn it back over to our illustrious panel. Itinerary Hobbyist says, my teenage boys really enjoyed the new Spider-Man. I think that's what influenced my view towards it. And JD says, that makes sense. That's true. I mean, if you have family members and they like something, they get you involved in it, and you might like that. My big comic, before I turn it back over to the panel, I was a big Planet of the Apes guy. In the 70s, they had a couple of different comics, and that's how I found comics with Bueller. One night I'm up, can't sleep. Shocking, right, Devin? I'm up, I can't sleep, and I'm on YouTube, and I'm like, I type in comics on YouTube, and this channel pops up, and I met Comics with Bueller in the chat. It was a different channel, and I'd asked, hey, does anyone have or know of those Planet of the Apes comics from 1970s? And that's how I met. I used to love reading those. Those were mine, and they're not superhero ones, but I did enjoy them. As what does he have there? I can't. What is that?
That's the closest you're going to get. It's a price guide.
Oh, sweet!
Of the Apes on the cover.
That's awesome. Are those the ones they just came out? Like they redid some? Because I read a bunch of them. I bought them on my Kindle, which sucks because I actually don't have them, but they're on my Kindle. But they're great storylines.
Yeah, I don't have any of those, but I do have some, and this is really bizarre. It's Planet of the Apes and
with
the
Tarzan. With Green Lantern. I've seen those. Yeah.
That's just the weirdest pairing, but whatever works, right?
Right. So, okay, back to whoever would like to ask any questions or talk with Comics with Bueller. I'm going to go to the chat and see if there's any questions.
I had a question from Chrissy earlier, and Bueller said he was a big X-Men fan. Were you able to see the Dark Phoenix trailer? And what did you think of that? That's from Chrissy of Old Stones asked that in the chat. I thought it was a great question. My take, real quickly, being a huge Game of Thrones fan, it was kind of hard for me to watch just because when I see Sophie Turner, I'm seeing Sansa Stark. Yep. So I just don't, so it's just kind of strange for me to see any of the Game of Thrones characters on like a film, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense.
Thanks for the question, Chrissy, and I'll turn it over to Bueller there.
So first thing, Dog, when you saw her in the last movie, was that a little hard for you to watch as well? Because she was in that whole movie. But I saw the new X-Men trailer, and honestly, I thought they shelved that movie. I thought they pushed it off. From the last I heard, they were looking at scrapping that movie because of the merger.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah. So when they dropped the trailer, and for the most part, from the trailer, it looks like the movie's pretty much done. It's in post-production or whatnot, for the most part. I wasn't impressed. Here's the thing about the Dark Phoenix storyline. It's not an easy storyline to do. It's just, we were talking about this last night on a different live stream, and the old X-Men cartoons in the 90s. I don't know if you guys watch any of those. Those were one of my favorites. But they literally did the Dark Phoenix storyline, or the Phoenix storyline, over a whole season arc. It wasn't just like a couple episodes. It was like 20 episodes that they had to do to cover that whole arc. To cram that into a movie of like 2 hours, and most people, honestly, I hate to say it, people have kind of checked out on the X-Men with the Fox. Not in general, but with the Fox deal and the Fox making the X-Men movies. That last Apocalypse movie was not that great. And people are just waiting for the X-Men to join the Marvel universe again. That's what we want. So this is just a filler movie. It's not going to have any continuity with what happens in the years to come. So I'm not too excited about it. I'll probably just wait till it comes out on Blu-ray or something, you know. But the trailer didn't excite me either. That was the thing. If it would have been something that kind of sparked my interest, maybe I'd have a different opinion. But it didn't do much for me.
Question from the chat from Itinerary Hobbyist Todd. Why did you think they were going to cancel the X-Men movie?
If that's for me, I heard it somewhere. I heard like when the whole deal was going on that Fox is going to be bought by Disney, and like because they put off the New Mutants one. They were making a New Mutants one. I don't know if they ever finished it or whatnot, but they put that one off. And for some reason, there was word going around, and not like I have any inside information. This is just stuff, you know, we read or see online, and who knows where that stuff comes from, to be honest with you. But I had heard that they were going to shelve it. I didn't, like I said, I didn't even know it was done. I thought, you know, I thought they only started on it not too long ago and then kind of just held off. But apparently they've been doing it this whole time, because they had a whole trailer that was sitting there. And before that trailer came out, nobody was talking about it. Everyone thought, oh, well, it's probably not going to make it. I mean, am I wrong, or you guys feel the same way?
I totally agree with you, because what I had heard was like they had shelved it, but I didn't even hear that they were like filming it or anything of that nature, right? I just heard that, you know, it had been shelved, so I figured that meant they're not even going to start production on it. And then it just seems like maybe a month or two later, the next thing you know, we have a trailer. Yeah. So lucky us, we have a movie to look forward to, I guess. So I'm not, yeah, I'm kind of right in the same ballpark with you, Bueller, with that. So
yeah.
What are your thoughts, guys?
Hadn't really heard one thing one way or the other. Hadn't known about the trailer yet, so really no thoughts at this time. Really. Sorry.
I checked out of the X-Men a long time. I think after the first movie. I mean, I was never a big X-Men fan to begin with, except for when, you know, Longshot was.
I liked Captain America. He was part of the X-Men, right? No.
Oh, yeah.
No,
he's like the Avengers.
He's Marvel, right?
Yeah, they're all Marvel.
Whatever. They're all on the same team.
Yeah.
Right. They're in like the National League, and like DC's like the American League.
Yeah. Though, yeah. It was funny, Devin, you said you had a bunch of Sergeant Rock comics, and Ken in the chat said he just found some Sergeant Rock comics. That was the other comic I read, was Sergeant Rock. Those Sergeant Rock comics. I enjoyed those. Those were always a lot of fun to me. So.
I have a question for Comics with Bueller.
Yes.
You recognize this book?
Is that the Frank Miller Batman?
That is the Frank Miller Batman, and it's got Year One, and it's got Santa Claus, and it's got the Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, the Dark Knight Returns is my favorite.
Picked this book up back in '89, I think it was, and I told the story, and I had, for whatever reason, on a whim, gone up to the convenience store up the street from where I lived, and they had a box of 1988 Flair basketball cards. I was like, okay, sports cards. I've never collected basketball before. Sure, why not? Got it. Kicked it around for a couple of months. You know, whatever. So I go to Captain Blue Hen Comics up in Dover, not far from where I live here in Delaware. And I take the box in, and they're like, well, we'll give you store credit for it, $30. And this was available for $29.99. So I said, okay, let's do it. And I love this book. Absolutely. Yeah. And among the cards that I traded for it were 2 second-year Michael Jordan basketball cards.
I was going to say, that's second-year Jordan right there.
He told the story offline. That's a great story.
What is the most outrageous, in hindsight, mistake you've made in acquiring a piece of comic book memorabilia?
Well, the first mistake I made was listening to my ex-wife when she told me to sell all my comic books. That was probably the worst mistake I ever made.
Oh, man.
And you know what? You know, as a frightened 22-year-old with a baby on the way, that's exactly what I did. So... you know, I actually ended up dumping my whole collection when I was 22. Everything I had, except for like 5 comics. I dumped every one of them, and I liquidated. I mean, I was selling, you know, $50 books for 10% of the value because I didn't want to carry them home from the convention that I took them to. And there was a lot of just golden things that I wish I still had. And, and here's the thing. And a lot of people don't know this. I just started collecting again a year ago. Up until a year ago, I had maybe one box of comics. And about a year ago, I drove by and I saw a comic book shop, and I said, well, I'm not doing nothing. I'm kind of bored. I walked in. It was just like me walking into the shop when I was 10 years old. And I was hooked once again. And, a year later, I'm sitting on over 12,000 comics, which is just stupid. I'm definitely not married anymore. There's no way I'd have this many comics if I was married. But awesome. Some of the books that I liquidated back then, and it's hard to say. Now, on the other hand, though, I've had instances, recent and in the past, to where you bring up sports cards, okay? And I was a big sports card guy. I knew exactly what you're talking about. 88 Flair. That's Brad Daugherty's rookie card and stuff, and all the second year from the Flair. But when Skybox came out, and you guys might remember that Skybox, and those are just garbage. I mean, let's be honest. I was working at a baseball card shop. I was like, 13 or 14 years old, and I was just back there like, picking up garbage and stuff. And I'd cover for the guy. It was just a local business, and he had some comics, but mainly sports cards. And some guy comes in, and he has a X-Men number 94, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but that's the first issue with the brand new team of the X-Men with Wolverine and Storm and Colossus and all these guys. It's a pretty big book. It's worth thousands of dollars. This guy came in and he's like, hey, I really want to get a box of that Skybox basketball cards. And he's like, I'll trade you this comic for that box. And I'm like, and I could buy the box at wholesale, and wholesale like $20. So I put $20 in the register. I gave him a box, and I got $1,000 comic. At the time, the comic was only a couple $100, and the guy thought that Skybox box was going to be worth a lot. Those things, I think you can buy them now for $5 online or something like that, a sealed box, and that comic sells for thousands of dollars.
Unbelievable, now, right?
That is one of the comics that was sold because of my ex-wife, though, unfortunately.
Rats. Great question, Chris, and wonderful answer. Comics with Bueller. I'm going to ask another question from the chat. Again, from my itinerary hobbyist. What are your thoughts about Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel.
Marvel.
Or is he talking about Shazam?
Oh, I saw that trailer. That was kind of funny. And I also saw the Joker.
About the Captain Marvel trailer.
Is that Shazam? I call him Shazam.
Yeah, I still call Shazam Captain Marvel. So
it's confusing, isn't it? Because it's like, one's a DC and one is Marvel, and they kind of go vice versa and stuff. So, but Shazam was, before Shazam was in DC, it was Captain Marvel that wasn't owned by a DC property, and then when they bought it, they changed it to, I believe they changed it to Shazam, or it might have changed beforehand. But whenever that character came over to DC, they called him Shazam. So,
another quick question from the chat from ID Gesture: did Bueller ever play the Marvel Heroes game? Before you answer that, does anyone remember that on CBS, Shazam and Isis, and not the Isis, but the woman who was really hot? Can I say that? Yes. Okay, I dated her, but she didn't know. Most women on TV I dated, but they didn't know. Do you guys remember that? On Saturdays, I think?
Saturday mornings, yep. It was part of the live action lineup.
That's what it was. Thank you, Devin.
Yep. Oh, yeah, I remember it.
Electra Woman and Dyna Girl.
Electra Woman and Dyna Girl.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's so funny. Anyway, I just had to throw that out there. So IDs, and don't think bad of me that I dated all those women. I was,
you don't have to answer to us. You have to answer to them.
They don't know. One of them still has. Okay, four of them still have a restraining order out against me. So
at least you have their autograph then, right? So
that's Al, you brought this on. PP.
Everyone wanted it. So ID Gesture in the chat says, about the Marvel Heroes game. Has anyone played that?
Oh, yes.
All right, Devin, you go then.
No, I can't.
What? I thought he said, "Oh yes."
That's what I thought too. I made a mistake.
I played it. It was really big in the mid to late '80s, and it was actually a fun role playing game. It was a very easy system. But yes, I played a lot of it. I played a lot of Marvel superheroes back in the day.
Anyone else? Was that a board like a board RPG game?
It was an RPG, and they had these big maps that would come in most of the modules, and you'd have your stand-up counters. You can move them around on the board if you wanted to, but you didn't have to. You could do it just like a normal in your mind theater of the mind role playing game. But yeah, each of the official modules had maps that went along with it. So yeah,
was it like Dungeons and Dragons, but with Marvel superheroes?
Oh yeah, it was almost exactly like
cool.
That.
Yeah, I think I did play that.
Comics with Bueller. I've never played that. I was a Risk and Axis and Allies guy, and Stratomatic baseball and Fran Tarkin football.
That's how I got introduced to Wolverine. I didn't even know what Wolverine was until I played that game.
Cool.
I was like, yeah, you should be Wolverine, man. He's really cool.
You know what, dog? Your new nickname. You know what? Wolverine should be you. Screw that. That's what I say. Anyway, have you ever played that Comics with Bueller or know of that game?
I know of the game. I never played it because I never had anyone to play with. So, but I remember that game quite a bit. As a kid, my big thing was obviously comic books and then video games. I played a ton of video games.
Ooh.
My father worked in the he was like a salesman for like video equipment and stuff like that. So we'd always get like these huge screens. We'd be playing Atari 2600 on a big, huge projector and stuff like that. And so I really enjoyed that. And I've actually, I used to work for Microsoft. I used to work for the Xbox division. I helped launch the Xbox One.
Cool.
And was doing some work
lots
with
of
that.
questions with you then.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry. I don't want to disappoint you, but I was in the video game industry quite a bit for probably over 10 years. And, I've since retired from that, but video games and comic books, those are kind of my two passions.
What was okay, this is a standard question on Chat with Al and Friends. It's not about pee-pee. That comes a little later.
Right. After 10 o'clock.
After 10 o'clock, everyone hears stories of things I pissed on as a kid outside.
What the heck?
Which comic books did you
Al? Quick, you have a question from the chat, dog? Or a question in general?
No, you didn't. No, go ahead. It went right over
I got it.
Uh-oh.
What was your first game that hooked you on video games? Mine was, I'm being honest, Pong. I mean, the whole, we make fun of it, but that was the game. Boop, boop, boop.
Mine was Dig Dug. Dig Dug was the one. Dig Dug got me going, man. I was playing that constantly. And then as far as arcade goes, it was Miss Pac-Man and Track and Field. Love those two.
Yeah, Miss Pac-Man was great. I think the first, I loved pinball. Like when I was like maybe 4 or 5 years old. I mean, that's all I did. If I remember, I just loved playing pinball. Forever. And then there was a Space Invaders game. And pretty much, I remember, just being absolutely hooked on Space Invaders. And until, the next thing, there was Asteroids and Defender and, Pac-Man came out.
Yep.
But yeah, when Miss Pac-Man came out too, I was just absolutely hooked on video games at that point.
Did you guys ever play that Dragon's Lair when that came out?
Yeah,
I love that.
That's the one that looked like a cartoon.
Yep.
That was absolutely amazing when I first saw that.
How much money did that suck out of our wallets, man? That was crazy. Because it was like you would die within the first 30 seconds of the game because it was so difficult.
So Chris from Stratomatic, Delaware is going to bow out. He's having some issues and he's a little under the weather. So take care, Chris. Thank you, my friend, for stopping by. Hope you feel better soon. God bless. So
that was nice talking to you a little bit there, Chris. Hopefully I'll get to talk with you again soon, my friend.
So everyone wish Chris well and say goodbye.
Definitely.
So yeah, what was that? The dragon, was it Dragon's Lair you said?
Yeah,
Dragon's Lair.
I think
Kirk the Daring.
Yeah, Devin or Dog.
Princess Daphne.
Yeah, I think you can. I think I saw that on Steam or on my PS4. I can't remember. I think Steam, and I almost bought it, but then I remembered I played the arcade game, and it was wicked hard. I was like, I don't want to get pissed off at age 48 against that game again, so I didn't buy it.
Yeah, it's been released retro wise. I know. I think it came across through the Microsoft Store for Xbox, and I'm pretty sure I've seen it. That and Space Ace and a couple others on Steam that comes up every once in a while as well. But the great thing about it, if you buy it on Steam, is you can just keep playing. It's not going to cost you, $100 because you have the game and you don't have to keep sticking the quarters in like we did in the coin op days.
Oh my God, I wasted a lot of money on that.
Yeah,
I still remember the name of the local arcade, the Gold Mine.
It was a gold mine then.
It was a gold mine. That
was the arcade of where I grew up. It was called the Gold Mine also. Up in the mall.
Yeah, I wish I missed those so much. Those were so much fun.
Yeah, that was great times.
There was a small, like, convenient store ice cream breakfast place. It called Smitty's, or no, that was the ice cream place. But there's another one, and they had like 3 arcade games in there, and then there was a convenience store that had 2. And we had figured out, at least with the Space Invaders game and Pac-Man, when you're right about to die, you unplug the game and quickly plug it back in. And you could keep playing. But we got banned from there.
Oh, you good? You deserved it. You can't be cheating on those.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. But yeah, that game, Dragon Slayer, was just, when it came out, I was like, even now it still amazes me because it looks like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Well, it was a cartoon. It was done on Laserdisc.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Laserdisc?
They look like big records.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, yeah. The artist who did that was the same guy, Ralph Baskey.
Maybe? Oh, the guy did like Lord of the Rings. And
Lord of the Rings and Wizards and stuff like that.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, it was still a beautiful game. Like I said, I didn't buy it because I didn't want to get pissed off all over again.
I remember my first PC I ever had. I went and bought that game. Like,
did you?
When they had those big boxes or whatever, and you downloaded it or whatever, put the disc in, and yeah, I loved that game. I was like, oh man, this is so cool. Yeah, I was like, I don't even know how much I paid for it. I was just like, yeah, I just wanted to, have it.
Bubba Husky asks, what was the character? I believe he wants to know the lead character's name from Dragon Slayer. Wasn't it a goofy name? Dirk? Or
Dirk the Daring.
Okay, not Dirk Diggler, right?
No, not Dirk Diggler.
Okay. Yeah. Dirk the Daring. I remember it was something like that. And the other thing I remember, when he got lit up by the dragon, didn't he like turn into like a skeleton or something, or like he really got lit up?
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, really.
Yep.
That was like, whoa! That was like the first time I was like, whoa, that's harsh.
And the sound, like you'd see his bones, they'd just be sitting there and they'd crumble to the ground and make that, and the arcade machine would make that noise just to let you know how horrible you did at the game.
I know. It was like
just devastating.
Okay, Ken Castro's yelling at me in the chat. I missed the question. Now, I'm going to tell you why I didn't read the question. It says, Comics with Bueller, have you played a hero game? And if I say that word improperly, CLIX, it's going to sound really bad.
It's Hero Clicks.
Okay, Devin, ask Comics with Bueller if he's ever played that game.
Comics with Bueller. Have you ever played the Hero Click series of games that came out for the comic book characters?
I can't say that I have, but familiarize with me a little bit, and I might, I might have, but I don't. It's not ringing a bell.
It was started released. The Click series started releasing in the early 2000s with actually the 1990s, late 1990s with Mage Knight, and they were miniature games. And they had these little bases on them that you could click, and it had all their stats. And every time they take a wound, you'd click it, and they would change their attack stats or defense stats. And so it was basically kind of like this little miniature tabletop game, but all the stats were on the actual character you played, and they had characters for all the comic book, all the Superman, all the Batman characters, the New Mutants, all that good stuff. They even came out with a horror series that had Jason and Freddy, and I think they actually had a really big one. I mean, it was massive table for Ultron, but yeah, it was a fun little game.
I think I do remember those. They had like little base on them with the numbers and stuff, and the only 1-inch like characters I played as far as a game, I don't even know if it was a game, but the crossbows and catapults. You guys ever play that? I love that game. Crossbows and catapults.
I've never played it.
You're missing out.
Was it like a tower defense game?
No, it was a live action kind of like Play School Plastic, and you had these crossbows and cannons that actually fired projectiles, and you built up your castle with these plastic blocks, and you tried to.
Oh, right.
Oh, I remember that. I didn't play it. You got to knock down the castle, right?
Yep.
That was kind of cool. I never played it, but I've seen it. I wish I played it.
It was a lot of fun. I think the characters in there were probably about 1 inch, if I'm not mistaken, because you had your little armies and stuff. And the funny thing is, it was probably about 8 or 9 years ago. They relaunched it at Toys R Us exclusive, and they had the whole set. And I bought every one of them. I was like, oh man, I gotta have them. And I bought them, and they redesigned them a little bit, and they had a different paint scheme than they used to have. But I would play with them with my kids and stuff. Say, hey, this is what I used to play with when I was your age. And that's, of course, like I said, 8 or 9 years ago when they were younger. But it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. One thing I did play, I played the Marvel Overpower card game. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. And I still have a bunch of those cards, and that was fun. That came out right after that Magic game came out, which I was never smart enough to understand how to play that game. So I decided to play the superhero one, and I enjoyed that one. I don't know if you've tried those at all, but they're cool.
Did you ever play Pokemon? No, I haven't. I never understood the phenomenon of Pokemon. I'm not an anime guy. In fact, like when I saw videos of people trying to find Pokemon that doesn't really exist, like out in the park, I get it. You get them walking around, but do you ever think, did anyone get killed walking on some nutbag's property going, what are you looking for? Get off my property! I mean, it's kind of dangerous. You walking around looking for some fake freaking Pokemon. I never understood that phenomenon. And my young cousins were all into that, and they're like, do you know Pikachu? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
So have you ever watched any of my videos with Jeff in my videos? He's
the only one I've seen with Jeff is the thumbs down one, which was freaking hilarious. That's the one I remember. I can say that's the one I remember. Okay. So I know he's been on multiple times with you, but that's the one I remember. So
yeah, he's been on a few times. Okay, so Jeff is about 6'8", 400 and some odd pounds. He plays Pokemon Go daily. He is walking around hunting for Pokemon.
He's gonna frighten people.
Yes, that's what I'm like. There's this giant walking around looking for imaginary Pokemon in the park.
Oh my goodness!
It's the weirdest thing, but he loves it. He's been doing it forever.
I mean, I'm just saying, I never got into it. You should videotape that. That should be hilarious.
Be like Frankenstein for Halloween or something.
Yeah. I'll admit there was kind of a spinoff of that Pokemon Go that came out not too long ago. That was a Jurassic World and Jurassic Park, and you ran around hunting for dinosaurs. And I may have spent a month or two. But in my defense, I was doing it because I needed to start walking. So it gave me an excuse to walk around the park and not look like a creep checking out the little kids all over the place. So here I am with my phone trying to find friggin' dinosaurs all over the place. Hey, so it was a defense mechanism while I was exercising. So
all's good, my friend. All's good. It sounds good to me. I was just curious. I never got into that. And that still is a big phenomenon. The other thing I remember, my nephew who's now in college was a Ben 10 fan, right? And as a kid, I don't know what the hell Ben 10 was. It was like on Cartoon Network anime. I don't know. And he's like, I gotta have this game, Uncle Al. I gotta have this. So I go buy this video game, right? But it's not just a game. It's like a mini console. And you have to buy these things like old school. Like you have to slide them in. It's like really old school. I'm like, really? Really? This is how money hungry they are? So I buy, all these little different you had like for characters they had different screens or some crap like that, and he played it for like an hour and a half. So I hate Ben 10. I don't care about buying. I love buying presents for my nephews and nieces. It's just really you needed that one. That's the one you needed. Anyhow, I don't know what the hell Ben 10.
A new thing?
No, this is a while back. It was Ben 10. Like he could morph into things. Like they had powers or something. It could change into monsters.
I don't recall Ben 10.
It was a Cartoon Network thing about 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago.
No, I feel bad.
That's all right. You want me to buy you that game? I can get it for my nephew and send it to you.
I'm good. No, it's okay. I'll do some research.
So, Comics with Bueller. We know you like comics because it's in your name, right? And right. So are you a sports fan? Out of curiosity.
I am a sports fan. I'm kind of tall guy. I'm 6'4", 6'5", and I used to play basketball when I was younger.
Yeah.
And followed basketball. I'm into football, as well. I like college football probably a little bit better than NFL football right now, because every game means so much in the college ranks. So I enjoy that more. And then as far as baseball goes, I like the playoffs in the baseball. There's so many games during the regular season. It's hard to keep track. And being in the Pacific Northwest and in Oregon, we've never had a professional baseball team here. So it's not something we grew up with. But in general, yeah, I'm a big sports fan. My father was a huge sports fan, and it kind of goes in our family. So anything sports you want to talk about, I'll try my best.
Awesome. I was just curious. So how tall is your friend? You're 6'4", and how tall is your friend?
He's like 6'8".
We got a tag team here for Fire Pro Wrestling, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm
gonna make a couple of characters of you two guys.
Yeah,
we're gonna team you with Devin, make you a 6-man tag team.
There you go.
So that's awesome. What's one of your favorite sports moments? Either participating or being a spectator for Comics with Bueller, and then Dog Sidious and Devin.
I'll never forget when the World Series, when the earthquake happened.
Yep. And 89.
Yeah. I remember watching that and just like I didn't understand what was going on. I was like 14 years old or something like that, or no, not. Yeah, I was like 14, and that was kind of weird. As on national TV and everything. So.
I remember Al Michaels. At first, they didn't think anything of it because there's always earthquakes. They didn't I felt bad after because people sort of jumped on them later, but they didn't know what happened. They just were kind of like laughing it off, not like in a mean way, just saying, "Okay, it's an earthquake. Everyone stay calm." And then it was just mega earthquake, and it was weird when the World Series actually came. I forgot how many days it was delayed, but it came back and they played it. And it was kind of eerie, It was. Very sad. Yeah, that's not a moment. That is a very interesting sports moment. So, how about you, Dog or Devin?
Oh God, that's not hard for me to remember that one. The 77 season Super Bowl.
Broncos. I knew he was going to be that.
Broncos in Dallas, the year that I started to hate America's team, and you got to understand the phenomenon and the fever that gripped Denver when Denver went to the Super Bowl. This was the Morton to Moses era. This was the Orange Crush.
Orange Crush.
I mean, everything in Denver was orange. Christmas trees, sheep, cows. They were painting everything orange. So it was a huge thing. And their field goal kicker, when they went up for 2 field goals, the first one, he bounced it off the right upright.
Jim Turner was their kicker.
The next quarter, he bounced it off the left upright. Twice in a row, went for the field goal, bounced them off the uprights both times. Now, it wouldn't have saved Denver. They lost like 24-10. So those 6 points wouldn't have, but yeah, no.
Well, might have made it different, though. You're right. Turner missed 2 field goals. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my sports memory.
And Denver came out of nowhere in that year because they were getting better, but no one expected that because I think that was Craig Morton's first year with them because in '76 he was playing with the Giants. They thought he was washed up. Morton was actually one of my favorite football players. He was a very serviceable is not the right word. He was a good quarterback. He took the Cowboys to a Super Bowl. He took Denver to the Super Bowl. He was a good, serviceable again, not the right word, a good professional quarterback. And I was happy for him when that happened. I'm not an America's team fan either. They ruined many when I was a kid. The few times the Patriots played on Thanksgiving, I'd sit there and go, oh, God, we're playing the Cowboys? Really? Really? I'm going to have to get the call from George LaVenture on Thanksgiving going, hey, Al, what happened to your Patriots, Al? And by the way, 1918, LaVenture was a Cowboys fan, Yankees fan, and a Montreal Canadiens fan. I sat there and I went, do you root for like King Kong too? Because I'm a Godzilla guy. I'm just curious. Did you? No. Anyway, Dog, what's one of your? It's not the Cleveland Browns and Oakland game from 1980, is it, Dog?
No, it's not. Actually, it's it'd be in 1990 in January, the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills in the AFC divisional playoff.
Yep.
A game I was fortunate to be at.
Oh, cool.
And, yeah. So if you ever remember the old Sports Illustrated commercials and they'd show Don Beebe landing on top of his head.
Yes.
I was at that game. That was from that particular game. And it was pretty much a shootout all the way through. Eric Metcalf had a kickoff return for a touchdown, and place was just, absolutely packed. The dog pound was at its peak. I remember, the dog pound just frickin' dancing, to Wooly Bully at the end of the game. And I was probably at my peak of, being proud to be a Cleveland Browns fan at that time. So definitely my favorite time at the old Municipal Stadium. So that's the one that pops in.
That's a good one, Dog. So, I forgot about that game. Kozar was still quarterbacking them, right?
Right.
Because then he would go.
Houston was still on a team, Reggie Langhorne.
Yeah. So that was coming to an end of their run, sort of, then.
Yeah. Clay Matthews had an interception at the goal line, basically. A guy dropped a pass on Jim Kelly on like 3rd and goal, and then Clay Matthews intercepted him.
ID Jester in the chat wants to ruin your moment, Dog. He says, Thurman Thomas with 14 receptions that day. The Bills should have won. Always ID.
Yeah, he was on fire. And Kelly threw for like over 400 yards, too. Yep. It was an absolute shootout.
As ID Jester says, the tight end, the pass in the end zone, or they would have won. So the tight end pulled a Jackie Smith.
That was the difference, and then the kickoff return for the touchdown too. But
those are all cool. I think it's fun to remember those moments. I mean, it's stuff. I don't know.
There's a lot of other. Like I could go to the Cavaliers winning their championship, and when the Buckeyes beat Miami Hurricanes for the national championship. That I keep in mind too. Not doing so good tonight for the Buckeyes, but yeah, that's the one that I remember being at the most.
Yeah, those are great. Those are all wonderful, wonderful stories.
I have one that I wanted to share again. I thought about a little bit more. So you guys are going to have to help me out with the names on this because I'm horrible on this. But I remember watching as a kid, and I think it was like 88 or something. It was the Super Bowl. It was the Redskins against the Denver Broncos.
Yep. Doug Williams was quarterback.
Yes.
I'm almost positive.
Yeah. For the Redskins. And they were down like a couple scores, and then they came back and just scored touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
35 points in the second quarter.
Yeah, they ended up blowing them out. They ended up blowing Denver out. Yeah.
We don't talk about that Super Bowl.
Is that like so? That's like the 85 Super Bowl for me. 85. The Patriots didn't really play that game.
I want to say the Broncos got they scored from the first play from scrimmage.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
the first play from scrimmage, and then they got a field goal.
And that's when they would bring up the stat when the team scores the first touchdown, they win.
Yeah,
7% of the time. And I want to say the Patriots kicked a field goal to take the. I remember. I'm almost positive in '85 the Patriots took a lead. And they almost had an interception for a touchdown return. They end up getting the ball. And I want to say Tony Franklin kicks a field goal. I'm going to look it up. I'm pretty sure they took a 3-0 lead, and they put the stat.
I think you're right, Al.
The team that scores.
They didn't get their touchdown to the end of the game. I remember
it was a garbage touchdown. The Patriots got a garbage, but I think they kicked a field goal on like their second. It was a turnover or something like that, and they end up kicking a field goal. And they come up, and when the team scores for the first time in the Super Bowl, they have an 87.5% chance to win. I was like, yes! And I'm sitting there as a kid going, What happened to the 85.7% 379 chance of winning? And then the phone rang, and it was George going, I told you they were going to lose. I'm like, shut up!
It happens, man.
Bernie Kosar did go to Miami. Sorry, Bueller. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I just remembered that. So go ahead, Bueller. Sorry.
Don't you just love those phone calls from your buddies when they rub it in? They're just the worst, you know.
Right.
Yeah, we've all. I mean, most of your
one of those buddies too that would call.
Yeah.
Oh, were you?
Oh yeah, I had to.
And here's the thing: you knew what the call was.
Oh,
You'd
absolutely.
be sitting there, and the phone would ring, and you knew before you
had
looked
to take
exactly who it was.
The worst one, I've relayed this story before. I'll tell it quick. 78, the Red Sox lose the playoff game. Why do I bring up 78 all the time? Because I was a kid, and it traumatized me. Not really, but just something I remember. And the phone rings after they lose, and God rest my mom's soul. She picks up the phone. She says, I go, I know who's on the phone, Mom. And I'm a little kid. You have to understand that. She goes, aren't you going to talk to your friend? I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to my friend. I know. She goes, you will talk to your friend. That's not nice. He called. I'm like, I don't want to talk to him. And so I talked to him. He's like, hey, you guys ain't going to the World Series. Bye. I'm like, it was something like that. He might have thrown a little F-bomb, but yeah. Like I said, he was a Yankees fan, a Cowboys fan, and a Canadians fan. And I'm pretty sure he rooted for King Kong because I was a Godzilla guy. So
anyway. So you guys are I take it, baseball fans? I know you are, Al, right?
Yeah, I like baseball. My boxing, big boxing fan. I like sports. As you get older, it's not, you don't live in, at least I don't live and die with it anymore. Mm-hmm. I enjoy it. I've come to actually listen to it a lot, meaning I'll have it on either on the radio or in the TV, and I'm doing something else. I was taught to hate two things in my household, and that's sort of gone now, but I still don't like those teams. Like the Yankees and the Montreal Canadiens, because the freaking Bruins, when I was a kid, never, ever beat the Montreal Canadiens. So that's the two things I was taught. Like people are like, oh, people are taught to hate this, taught to hate that. I'm like, I don't know what the hell house you grew up in. That we never hated people. I hated two things. Teams. Yankees, Canadians. I didn't care who was in it. I mean, Jesus Christ could come back in a Yankee uniform. I'm like, yeah, I don't like you, man. Take those colors off. Put that Red Sox uniform on or go somewhere else, you know. Anyhow, that's fun.
We only had that in Oregon. We only had the hatred towards the Lakers because we've only had one professional team here, the Blazers.
Yep.
And everybody hates the Lakers. You know, I mean, that's kind of the thing.
Good team to hate. I hate them.
that's if you're not a Lakers fan, you hate the Lakers type
Absolutely.
thing. That's kind of the way it is. And for them, because they burned us many times in the playoffs for the NBA and stuff like that. So we've always despised the Lakers here in Oregon. But that's about it. The rest of them, the rest of the teams we all like for any type of sports because. You know, Seattle up above us and Washington, that's the Seahawks and the Mariners, you know, that we kind of, I guess we've kind of adopted those teams, whether they wanted us to adopt them or not. We kind of, you know, hey, they're part of Pacific Northwest, so they're ours too. I'm sure they don't like that. But we used to have the Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah,
and then
they went to Oklahoma.
Yeah, and that was a whole debacle. I don't know if you know too much about that, but it's
never
horrible.
Good when a city loses a team. It's not. You know, when Cleveland lost the Browns, when Baltimore lost the Colts, and if you ever watched that, I think ESPN did that documentary special. When they say they left in the middle of the night, they left in the middle of the night. It's like now just get the trucks in back. Just everyone be quiet. Just put the stuff in the trucks. Start the engines up. Be really quiet. If they ask what's going on, we're just taking the equipment for a ride. The equipment loves to stick its head out the window. Just everyone go. So people wake up and those trucks are gone. There's no more football team in Baltimore. You know, they have gone to Indianapolis. And the funny thing about that, when they went to Indianapolis, they go to Johnny Unitas, God rest his soul. He was still alive then. There's I want to say a few years after, or maybe even the first year, they go, we're having this big thing for the Colts. We want you there. And Johnny Unitas, being a great man that he is and was, goes, I never played for the Indianapolis Colts. I would like that you never mention my name with that team. That was awesome. So yeah, it sucks that they left, because it's very similar. You guys, Hartford Whalers played down the street literally from us, from where I live. I live in Massachusetts, but Hartford's like right down the highway. And they left to go to Carolina, and I want to say they won the cup that year they left, because they were building a good team. And it does stink. So how did you guys feel about that when you lose a team? I mean, I've never gone through it except for the Boston Breakers. That was a USFL team, and as a kid, I was like, oh, that sucks, we lost our team, but no one went there. So but
it was rough for sure. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Doug.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I was absolutely a huge Cleveland Browns fan for for forever, probably since around like 1978, and I had shared that moment earlier on the stream, but like I remember, I think I was on leave at the time, and I ended up like getting tickets for the family or whatever to go watch them play in Detroit at the Silverdome. And like the week right prior to that's when they announced they were going to be moving to Baltimore. And boy, did they get their butts whooped. And they just kind of gave up. And I just kind of gave up on them too at that point. I kind of gave up on the NFL at the time. So it's kind of hard to watch. I pretty much just like picked up the game on like I watched like the Super Bowl or something, right? I remember rooting for John Elway, which was kind of weird, being
that is weird, you being a Browns fan.
Right? But I just couldn't stand the Packers so much because I lived kind of around a lot of Packers fans, and not that Packers fans are bad or anything, but usually I go against the grain, so to speak. So everybody's a big Favre fan and everything, and and Elway had been getting his butt whooped all those times, so I was just kind of ready to see him. And especially like like in the beginning of the game when you saw him, like I think he scrambled and went and got a first down, and you could just see he was giving it all he had that day. And I was like, this guy deserves to win one. And,
they had lost, what was it, 3 before that? They had lost 3 with Elway.
They got absolutely destroyed. Pretty much
San Francisco, Washington,
and
who am I missing? San Francisco, Washington. San Francisco, they lost 3. I'm almost positive. San Francisco,
Dallas was an earlier one, but no, he had another.
Yeah, that was with Morton. What was the other one?
He definitely lost 3. Oh, the Giants. 27.
Oh yeah, Phil Simms broke the completion record at the time. Yeah. Thank you.
So it was like the Giants and the Skins, and then a couple of years later, they got destroyed by the
49ers. Wrecked them. I think the good thing about that, they beat the Patriots thumping, so I never had to hear Patriots got beat the worst in the Super Bowl. Thanks, George.
But then, then we got, it was like, the fans were so devastated, and it was such a, they're such a traditional, franchise, I know. So we got to keep the colors, and they've kind of changed them up now that their uniforms kind of look ridiculous now.
Yeah, I don't like the orange. I wish they'd go back to the classic uniforms.
But basically, they took the Cleveland Browns and just changed them to the Baltimore Ravens, and then the new franchise became the Cleveland Browns. So, whereas like when the Colts left, they still remain the Colts. The Rams have been moving all around too. So it's kind of like one of those things. Yeah. But, this new franchise has been hard to, kind of love. I mean, I'm liking this Baker Mayfield so far. We'll see how that works out this Sunday, but.
Well, they're tied with your hated rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 1-1-1.
And the baseball playoffs are coming up too.
Yep.
So.
And Cleveland looks good. They always are a strong team. So, lots of good sports coming up. So
I think Devin was. I kind of cut him off earlier.
Devin.
Yeah, when the Sonics left Seattle, it was no heartbreak to me. I've never been a really big basketball fan to begin with. Football, I'm right there with it. Baseball, some a little bit, but basketball just bores me to tears. But one thing a lot of people don't seem to remember or want to acknowledge is that who was it? The Starbucks CEO who owned the Sonics at the time. They were making some insane demands on the Seattle. They wanted the taxpayers to build them a new $500 million stadium, but they were still playing in Key Arena, and Key Arena was like less than 10 years old at the time, and it was just it was just a lot of really, really bad blood that was between the owners and the people of Seattle, and the people say, we don't want to raise our taxes for you to build a $500 million stadium. And it's not like it was coming out of his pocket. He wanted the taxpayers to pay,
which is silly.
Yeah,
AU Pack Mule in the chat says, I stopped NBA and Starbucks when they left. I kind of remember that now that you brought it up. And that's usually the reason a team's going to try to hold a municipality hostage and say, hey, we want you to pay for the stadium. We want this. And you know what? You're going to pay for the stadium. And you know what? We don't want to pay taxes on the property. Now, again, there's give and take, but they try to hold up. And there's always another community that's saying, yeah, come here. We want your team. That's what stinks. But I can say about the Patriots and the Crafts, they built their stadium pretty much their own money. I mean, I think they do get a tax break, I think, but they spent all that money on their stadium. That's why I was a little upset, and I think the Crafts were too, when they built a beautiful stadium. I've never been there. I've been to the old stinky stadium, and I decided I like football much better on TV. They wanted the Super Bowl, and they said, oh, no, you can't have the Super Bowl. It's cold weather, but then they gave it to the Giants. So I see Bueller's getting tired, so maybe we can speed it up.
No, this is good. I wanted to kind of jump on that Seattle thing.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
And if any of you guys know a little bit better, but I'm going to try to go through the timeline. It's at least what I can remember.
Yeah.
So the owner of Starbucks was the owner of the Supersonics. And like he was saying that they wanted the whole state to pay for a new arena and all this thing, which is just ridiculous when you think about it. This is the guy who owns Starbucks. He doesn't need our help. But from what I understand, he sold the team to the guy that bought it and they thought the agreement was he was going to keep the team there in Seattle. And then the guy breaks that deal and then moves it to Oklahoma City, and then the guy from Starbucks tries to void the deal and get the team back.
Oh, I did not know. I don't remember that. So good info there. AU Pack Mule says Howard Schultz. Maybe that's the second guy who bought it, or is that the guy who owns?
No, I think that was the CEO of Starbucks at the
time.
Starbucks, okay. The Starbucks guy.
So yeah, it's never a good thing when I remember. Like I said, lesser extent, the Whalers left. There are a lot of, again, they didn't draw. When they said they played in a mall, the Whalers played in a mall. It was hilarious. You walked in a mall at the Hartford Mall, whatever the hell it was called, the Civic Center, but it was really a mall and with a sports arena built in the middle, right? So you went in the mall, then you went through a door and there's a hockey rink or a basketball game. And two quick stories about the old Hartford Civic Center. There was a hockey league called the World Hockey League back in the 70s. And when I was a kid, my friends actually had tickets. And they were always, let's go. And I was not the biggest hockey fan, but I enjoy, you know what I mean? And so I would always say no. But they had a college basketball game there. UConn, it was either a mini tournament or something. But they had a packed house. My guess UConn was playing or one of the Connecticut teams. And bad weather. The game's over. The roof collapses. No one gets hurt because no one's there. Miracle of God, right? But the Hartford Whalers were the New England Whalers playing out of the Hartford Civic Center. They came to play in Springfield. So the professional hockey, not AHL, which is still professional, but it's minor league. The World Hockey League played at the Civic Center, which only, I think, 5,000 seats. But the Hartford Civic Center was a little bigger. And I can look it up, and I'm almost sure all these great players that came from the World Hockey League played at the Civic Center. And I remember going to a couple of games. It definitely was not a Gretzky. It could have been. I didn't know who the hell. I mean, it was before Gretzky took off, but they had top-notch players. And what happened was the World Hockey League would fold and merge with the better teams merge with the NHL. But that's a funny thing. People always go back. They made a joke about it. The team that plays in the mall, and the owner hated that. He hated that. He wanted his own venue. You want to talk about a bad deal for the owner? He didn't get concession rights, right? No concession right. I mean, maybe a minuscule. The mall got the concession rights because they owned everything. So he wanted his own deal, and it just brings back memories. That's because people who didn't know them, they'd be like, "Well, come on, oh, that's the team that plays in the mall, right?" I'm like, they don't really play in the mall. I'm like, yeah, they do. You literally walk. You can walk around. Next thing you know, it's like, hey, let's turn right. Tickets. Oh, what's in here? A hockey game.
Let's play hockey.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, the mall is made for Sam Goody and Orange Julius, not hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey teams.
Yeah, they had no concession rights. That was his big sticking point. He wanted concession rights.
Yeah.
And so when his lease ran out, and it was a long lease, he was out of there. And they won the cup in Carolina either the next year or the year after. So, yeah, it stinks when teams leave because people in my area, they were Bruins fans first, most of them, but they enjoyed the Whalers because they were so close, and you could go. They were cheap. Those tickets were cheap. So, anyhow, the good stuff. I have a quick question, movie related. Have anyone seen the new Joker trailer with Joaquin Phoenix, and what are your thoughts on that? And I'll just say briefly, I thought it looked good. And I thought I liked it. That's just my opinion. Devin's going, Al, you're an idiot. Pull the trigger.
No, not an idiot at all. To be honest, this was a question I was going to bring up to Comics with Bueller. Your favorite Joker character, who did the Joker
cool.
best in the movies and all that. And we would go from Cesar Romero and
I like Cesar
through the years. I am in the minority, but I loved Jared Leto as the Joker.
Ooh.
I absolutely
not many people did, Devin.
I know, like I said, I'm in the minority in that. He played the character for the time that it was. I mean, like you have the original Cesar Romero when he was back in the 60s, the kooky, zany, he had the white face paint over his mustache. Nobody took him serious, but, it was Batman at the time. Jack Nicholson was more kind of the old school mafia type Joker. And then you had Heath Ledger in the 90s with his Joker. It was all the anti-hero and the dark depression. I hated Heath Ledger as the Joker. I'm in the minority on that. I know that's fighting words.
And we just went to 2 viewers. Thank you so much.
But to me, the Joker has always kind of been, and of course, Mark Hamill is the animated Joker. That
he's very popular, right? The animated,
very popular. Yeah, very.
I read that.
To me, the Joker has always been lithe, like a snake, athletic. Heath Ledger wasn't that. Jack Nicholson wasn't that. Cesar Romero wasn't that. Mark Hamill with the animated was, and Jared Leto was. He set in my mind perfectly what the Joker was supposed to be. And when I heard that they were doing a Joker movie and it was Joaquin Phoenix and not Jared Leto, it's like, the bloody hell.
What farming bloody hell? Well, let me just go to the chat real quick because there's a lot of people who I don't think agree with Devin. I still love Devin. Okay, so let me go to the chat real quick and then we'll go to whoever wants to jump in on that. This is I have it written down.
Was there an actual trailer?
It's actually I saw it on your friend's channel, Fan
Addicts.
Yeah, because I was helping him the other day trying to help him with Google. That was
I just saw like a little quick clip or something, but then all I saw was a picture of him.
But let me go to the chat real quick for 1 second.
I wasn't sure if I saw you.
JD says Leto made me turn off Suicide Squad. Bubba Husky, Jared Leto was the meth Joker. AU Pack Mule, speaking for the consensus for the opposing party, says no Leto. No.
Yeah, I think my channel just dropped under 1,000 again.
No, we can't do that. But I'll tell you, they put it as a deranged on your friend's channel, dog. A deranged Ronald McDonald, and that's what popped in my head, and I thought it was kind of funny.
That's what I thought too.
I thought it was kind of funny. It was funny that people
it looked ridiculous or awful. That was the first word that popped in my head. It just looked awful.
Here's the thing why I think he might be good. Just my thoughts. Joaquin Phoenix played in Gladiator, the whack job
He's a great
emperor,
actor.
right? He played the whack job emperor. If he does something similar with Joker, I think it could work. Because he was nuts.
I'm just like, well, why not let him play the Joker? You know, I'm more of a conservative, you know, as far as like, and I'm not saying he has to be like completely like Cesar Romero or something of that nature or something, you know, but let him actually play the character of the Joker. You know, I mean, I'm sure he can do it. He's Joaquin Phoenix, you know, I mean, I think he could do just as well as Jack Nicholson, per se.
I think he's going to be a good Joker. Well, again,
I do too, but I mean, why do they gotta like, you know, totally make his appearance look not like the Joker? You know, when I look at his face, it looks like they tried to mix Cesar Romero and Heath Ledger, if you will.
That's a good, yeah.
Doesn't look like the Joker to me.
But
one thing I could say is that maybe it's an origin story. Maybe this is what he looks like. You know, prior to what happens after this. But I don't know.
So But do you think that to anyone and Dog, because like everyone's seen Gladiator though, right? And he just played that nutbag emperor, and that's what popped in my head. I was like, I think he can play. Yeah, I think he can play the Joker. And actually, I didn't even know he was playing the Joker till I watched it. I was like, that could be interesting to me. I'm not a big comic book movie guy, but that one could interest me enough that I actually will go see it. So, So we're not happy. Devin's like to just see it. I don't know what it's going to be.
I'm sorry.
Devin's just unsubscribed to my channel. No.
I just saw the picture and I just thought it looked ridiculous. That's all. Yeah. But now the little footage I did see from when the camera's not right up to his face, I was like, okay, this looks all right, you know. But when I just saw the picture of where he's like sitting down, But yeah, I'll shut up. Go ahead.
No. Quickly before we go to comments with you, Moni G in the chat says a deranged Ronald McDonald sounds absolutely frightening.
What do you look like?
That's what he did look like.
It's gonna give me nightmares about Grimace now.
Oh my God, Grimace!
And
I think Grimace is a serial killer. He has the look, that Ted Bundy stare. So, comics with Bueller, you're up.
All right, so this is great. This is a whole show itself talking about different people who played the Joker. Let's be honest. So first thing, my first like forte as far as like the Joker was Jack Nicholson in the movies. I watched some of the early shows that were on TV and stuff, but I didn't spend too much time with them. But the Jack Nicholson one, when he came on and when the Batman movie came out, we needed more of that character. That was a one and done movie with the Joker because he dies at the end of the movie. That would have been a great character to live on. I would have liked to see Jack Nicholson play that role more than just that one time. And then we got Heath Ledger, and that's probably the one I'm going to go with.
I liked him a lot too.
My favorite, he embodied it, and it was just for one, that movie was. You could watch that movie, and someone who didn't know who Batman or the Joker was, and they'd be like, "Wow, this is a really good movie. This is like a crime drama type thing," because that's the type of style when they made that movie. That's what that was, and it was really good. It was probably one of the best comic book movies, I guess. That wasn't really a comic book movie just because of how they played it. But I really enjoyed that character, and too bad that obviously he passed away and everything. And then you move on to Jared Leto, and I saw Suicide Squad, and it wasn't like Jared Leto was featured all that much in the movie. It wasn't really about him. He wasn't the main focus, the main villain, and so I think he did the best he could. But if you were to give him more time, I would have liked to see that develop, because I think I read somewhere where he was only on screen for less than like 10 or 12 minutes for that movie.
That's because they talk about him all the time in that movie.
Yeah. So,
that's funny.
For like 10 to 15 minutes of screen time, and then he gets all this hate or whatnot. And there's this one guy that likes him. I just met him tonight, so that's kind of interesting. but I would have liked to see him more. And now we're moving on to the new guy, Joaquin Phoenix, who's playing him. And I don't know if you guys realize this, but the makeup that he's wearing in that new Joker trailer is actually the same makeup of the mask that Heath Ledger was wearing when they robbed the bank in the second movie, in the very beginning when they're introduced.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's kind of I don't know if it's a wink to him, maybe, you know,
like a homage, maybe, or
exactly. So it's the same makeup that was on the mask that was in that movie, and so that's why I think I see that. Now, I also think this: I cannot think of a villain that can hold their own movie. The only one is the Joker. There's not another villain that could make a movie all by themselves and hold it for their own, and actually do a series, because I could see many Joker movies, because it's probably going to be like a slasher movie, and people love the Joker, even though he's a villain. He's probably one of the most loved villains that there is. So I'm excited to see it. I like the fact that I think it is an origin story, and you know, the more Joker, the better, man. Anything we can get, I'll take it.
Excellent. On the Heath Ledger one, like, it was funny, you brought up like a crime drama, and that's the way, I think that's why I enjoyed that movie, because he has that classic scene. Hey, we only have one spot left in the gang. Yep. And he breaks the pool stick, and he goes, or was it he breaks the pool stick, and he goes, you guys decide who's going to be in. And then the other one, have you ever seen a pen, or was it a pencil? What was it? You want to see me make a pencil disappear? And he grabs the guy's head. It's not funny, but it is. And he went, and he goes, oh God, you know, I was like, you sick bastard. You know, I liked him. He was my favorite joke. I like the cheesy stuff. I love the pow, bing, bang of the old Batman with Adam West, God rest his soul, and Cesar Romero and all that stuff. The fake shark in that movie, I was just thinking about the shark. Best. I mean, I remember my friend going, hey, don't we have that toy somewhere? I go, I think we do. I think we have a fake shark, slightly smaller. We can do this scene. You know what? Next time we play wrestling, bring out the fake shark, and I'll fake like I'm going to hit the kid with the trash can lid, and you hit him with the fake shark.
Can you imagine when they were filming that scene and someone's yelling at Adam West, say, shake your leg more, make the shark move and stuff.
You know, okay. Well, the Bela Lugosi's last movie he ever made with Ed Wood, Planet whatever.
Planet 9 from outer space.
Planet 9 from outer space, yeah.
That scene with literally this plastic rubber shark that I think they taped to his leg. And like Comics with Bueller just said, shake your leg more, make it look real. The kids will love it.
That's exactly what they were doing.
But I love that stuff. They used to show that TV movie when he was fighting. I thought that was the greatest. Oh my God, they have all the villains on, and Catwoman, is she going to screw him over, or is she going to help him because she's hot for him, he's hot for her, but they deny each other. And I'm like, I'm dating Catwoman, you son of a bitch, you better stay away from her. I like that. Then the one with Jack Nicholson, right? What happened was I didn't see that at the movies, and I regret that. So I waited. I said, I'll wait till it comes out on VCR, right? I heard so much about it. I was like so excited. And then I was like, okay, it's okay. But I think because I built it up so much. But the one thing I'll have to say, my favorite villain is the Penguin on Gotham. Because to me, they've made the Penguin on Gotham an extremely likable, but he's a bad guy, but yeah, I think a lot of people that I know, you're sitting there rooting for me, go, okay, just, all right, you can kill those people, but do it quickly. We like you. We don't want them to suffer. And let me tell you, I usually jump off a character when they kill certain people, right? I'm sitting there going, and they kidnapped his, do you guys watch Gotham or anyway, the character's a good character.
I watched it, yep. I watched it.
Remember when they kidnapped his mom? And yes. It's really, I'll be honest with you, that was tearjerker. I mean, it's going to sound goofy, but you're sitting there going, they got his mom. And he doesn't even want to be part of those guys. He wants to just run the whole city himself. And he just wants things to run smoothly. He becomes the psychopathic, likable bad guy. Like, he donates to the school. That was hilarious, right? Because he's trying to get on the good side of people, but he's still killing. You know, he goes, yeah, those people are out of line. Kill them. Well, they have his mother, and he's got to go kill this woman running for mayor. And the scene is, she goes, what are you doing this for? And he goes, I don't want to. She goes, I'm a mother. And he goes, I know. I have a mother too. And that's why I'm doing it. And next scene is like, yeah. I'm like, holy. And you're sitting there going, okay. It's a horrible thing you did. I still love you. Just don't kill the other people in the office. That's what I was thinking, right? Yeah. Not saying sure. And he comes out, I'm like, and he goes, what are we gonna do with these guys, boss? And he's like, yeah, whatever. And so the right-hand guy who I can't think of, who turned into like Selma Grundy or something, and then he brought him back. Butch.
Yeah, Butch. There you go, Butch.
But again, this is why they're the likable at that time, the likable bad guys. He looks at their licenses and he goes, "Now you guys didn't see anything, right? I mean, because like we know where you live. You didn't see anything, right?" And they're like, "No, we didn't see anything." Okay, good. Have a good day. And they left. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? They're not that bad. They didn't kill the people in the office. It's horrible, but I like him. He's my favorite. Again, that's my favorite. I don't. Do you consider Gotham comic book character? I mean, I guess they are, but I tell you, I tell you who I hate is what's his face, the guy you're supposed to like. I can't stand him, Gordon. I'm like, if it wasn't for the Penguin saving his ass all the time, he'd be dead. So anyway,
I enjoy that show. I don't know how up to date I am on the last season. I think I watched about half of it, but pretty much everything.
Me too. Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, I got to catch up.
I think everything before that I watched from the very beginning, and I've enjoyed pretty much all of it. I mean, the character who's supposedly the Joker, I mean, you really don't know if, they kind of dance around the fact that
I'm not going to spoil it for you. I don't know if you got that far, but yeah, it's pretty good.
But I like they've cast that really well. And one thing I noticed is like they're really trying to age the kid who plays Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Because they're like, come on, kid, grow some, because we want to put you in the Batman suit or something like that, or actually fill out the Batman suit because he's pretty scrawny kid.
Yeah, he is. I do enjoy it. Bubba Husky says, I like Alfred and I like a lot of the characters in Gotham. I thought it's well done. It's coming to did it come to an end? Or is it coming to an end? This season.
I think so. One more.
Yeah. So I like it. And it's one of those things I didn't watch right away. And my nephew said, Uncle Al, you're going to like this. It's not like like capes and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, some of it comes in. But I just grew to like the Penguin. I probably shouldn't like the Penguin. To me, he's the best character. He's the most interesting character. And they just gave him enough. When they do that thing with his mom, and you see the way he grew up and stuff, and he just wants to be liked, okay, he murders people.
Yeah.
That's over here. And then he does whatever. He's my favorite character. So.
Yeah.
And now silence. Devin does not agree with me. Devin's like, I am so unsubscribing you, Al. I'm just.
I would never do that.
I'm just kidding. Do you got Dog and Devin? Did you watch Gotham, or is that something you guys don't watch?
No, I've never watched it. I've had a lot of folks telling me to watch it, but I don't know if there's no Batman in it. I'm not going to watch it.
Well, there's a young
Batman. Yeah.
That's why I liked. I don't know. That's why I always liked the Batman. Like you mentioned earlier, how it was like a crime drama. That's what always drew me into the Batman comics was that it felt like a crime drama. Basically, he's always doing detective work and things of that nature. And it, but my favorite Joker, is Mark Hamill's version. Basically, I know it's animated and things of that nature, of course, but that's definitely my favorite. And especially like if you've ever played the Arkham Asylum games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. All the characters are well done. Just probably, if I made like a top 10 list, I'm sure those games are in that top 10 of all time of games. So.
Those Arkham games are, honestly, when you think about comic book video games, those are probably the best ones that they've made. And consistency, all the ones that are in the series are all really good. So I've enjoyed them quite a bit. And the characters and the just the look and feel, they nail it. They nail the Gotham streets. They nail the Arkham Asylum. They nail the characters. It's really good. I was surprised when I got my hands on the first one when it came out for the 360. I was like, whoa, where did this come from? And I've played pretty much all of them all the way through, so I've enjoyed them.
Did you see that Telltale Games are laying off a ton of people? So is that going to bring those marvelous stories to an end? Because I watch those. I don't play them, but I watch them on other people's channels, and I watch it like it's a show. No, I love YouTube. I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Devin will tell you. Devin's streaming at like 1 in the morning. I'm like, I can't sleep. I'm making a bowl of popcorn. I'm watching Devin. I'm like, come on, let's take over England. I'm like, I'm rooting for you, Devin. Come on.
It's funny you say that because like that. So the tail take or what is it? Tail take or
what is it, dog? Telltale take.
The Telltale series.
Telltale series. There you go. So
thank you, dog.
they've done a bunch of stuff, and they started out, I believe, with The Walking Dead.
Yes,
and
they did.
The first one was the werewolf one, the Wolf Among Us.
Oh, the Wolf Among Us.
That's right.
Okay.
And then the Walking Dead one with the little girl. So I remember
that's still going, Bueller.
Yeah, I remember playing like the first couple chapters, and then I literally like, this is just like a TV show. So I just watched, like what you said, I just went and watched somebody finish the game, and I was like, well, I'm not going to play it anymore because it plays out like a TV show. I
did the same thing, dog, Devin, and Bueller. I played it, right? I enjoyed it. In the first season, there's an old guy, and I'm like, can we kill him off yet? And I have to save him. I mean, he's going to screw us over. I know he's going to screw us over. Can we just kill him? Okay. And at the end, he screws us over. I'm like, son of a bitch, I wanted to kill him or leave him to die, and you make me save him over and over again. So then I forgot who it was. I mean, JD in the chat, he does some of those games. Omen Eno does them. And a lot of other people. Phil the Issues guy's done the Batman ones. Fandom D Saint, aka Broke Black Man 94, did them, and I'm missing out on a bunch of other people. And I've watched them all, and it's funny because if you change a choice, it changes the story. And so I'm like, this is cool. And JD says boo because he wants to finish because he's playing it now. He's doing the season 4, I think. She's grown up, the little girl. And it's on JD's doing a great job with that. That's fun to watch. And there's other channels that do it too, but check out JD. And it's funny. There was a guy, Kenny, and because someone did something different, I go, what do you mean Kenny's not in it? Because I was watching a different one. They go, no, I killed Kenny in the first season. They're like, you can shoot him in the head. And, you shot Kenny? So he doesn't bludgeon that guy with no,
somebody else does that.
Yeah. So I do like but I enjoy watching them. Just like I watch people who enjoy their video game or strategy. If someone's enjoying what they're doing on YouTube, Devin again will attest to me. I'll make a bowl of popcorn. I'll sit down. I'll chat. We'll chat away, eating away with popcorn. I think
those are fun to watch, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I think people on YouTube are much more entertaining than the crap they have on TV. There's no imagination on TV. Hey, we have this TV series. It's new. And you're like, no, it was in the 50s, jackass. You don't remember? I mean, I wasn't there, but I'm pretty sure it was in the 50s. And you're just rehashing it.
They're bringing back Magnum PI.
Listen, if it's not, they better bring back Rockford Files then, because I was a Rockford Files guy. You know who liked Magnum PI? You'll never guess. George. So, but yeah, it's funny. I do like those. They're fun games, and I don't know if they're going to continue to exist. The Wolf Among Us, I watched. I think Fandom D Saint did that. It was okay, but I liked the Game of Thrones one. I love The Walking Dead. Batman was pretty good too. Even the Wolf Among Us was good, but you could see how they evolved. You know that because you're right, Devin. I thought The Walking Dead was the first two because that's the one I remember. But you're right. That other one was, and they're just like watching movies. I mean, or shows. I don't know what's going to go on. Like JD says, he wants to finish, some series he's doing. But they laid off, I want to say, about 200 people.
They laid off a lot of people.
So, which stinks. No, it's never good to get laid off, but something must have happened. So, anyhow, what else? Any questions in the chat? We'll go for another 15. I can see Bueller's getting tired. So,
come on, I'm on the West Coast, man. It's only 8:46 here.
Well, I'm on my 15th cup of coffee. I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I'm good. So let's just go to the chat real quick.
I have the Game of Thrones one. I haven't finished it.
Oh, it's good. I'm not going to tell you because again, you make different choices.
Maybe we'll make a day of that, Al.
Well, I'm there, dog. I'm there watching.
Really, you watch me play that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
People are like, Al, Red Sox fan, this is your life. You go to work, you come home, you stream a bunch of crap no one wants to watch, but yet you stream it. I don't care. And now you're going to watch people play games and say this is better than TV. It is. That's just me.
To emphasize that YouTube is better than TV, we cut our cable 4 years ago, and I haven't missed it at all. Yep. I have a 52-inch TV sitting on my entertainment center that I probably haven't turned on in 6 months. So yeah, we got rid of cable and TV, and you know what? I got my YouTube. That's all I need.
I think there's a ton of entertainment on YouTube.
I'm right there with you.
You have people like Dog Sidious, OG, the original Grognard Devin. You have Comics with Bueller. There's something on YouTube that you can find. Again, I have TV. There's shows. I'll tell you the shows I watch. Walking Dead, because I've invested a gazillion hours in it, and I almost quit a few times, but I still enjoy the show. Game of Thrones. I watch Gotham. And I'll watch sports now and then, but not like I used to. I pay attention to what's going on, whether it's reading about it or just listening in the background. But my favorite thing is when I have time. Hey, I work long hours. So when I have time, I want to stream or watch other streamers and see original, fun content. And people might say, oh, it's a video game. How original is it? That's not the point. The point is listening to someone talk about it or just enjoying, for the love of enjoying what they're doing. To me, seeing someone else happy is fun. I don't get people who are like, oh, YouTube, how do you do YouTube? Well, you've never done it then, have you? No. Okay, go back to watching the retread of whatever's on TV. Hey, did you hear they're bringing Magnum PI back? Yeah. So, but
I find myself, as far as TV goes, the one show that was appointment watching for me, they canceled this season, and really I was down to one show. It used to not be that way. I used to be able to tell you the lineup
on TV
for
each day,
every night of the week. And right now, I couldn't tell you anything. The only show I was watching on a regular basis was called The Last Man on Earth, and it was on
Sci-Fi.
No, it was on Fox, and it was like a comedy.
Oh, the comedy with the woman's a voice on Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, it's that one right there.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I love that show. It was different, and it had a different type of humor, and the show was a little uncomfortable to watch at times because some of the people were just making like the weirdest choices and stuff. But they just canceled it, and really, there's not another show on TV that I was like, oh, I got to be home by 9 o'clock because it's on at 9:30 type thing. I can't say I've had that for quite a while now.
Well, let's throw a couple of things out to the chat before we leave. Coming up on midnight, and it's been a really good stream. I want to thank Comics with Bueller, Devin, Dog Sidious, and earlier Chris from Stradmac, Delaware, and all the great people in the chat. We're not leaving yet. We'll go another 10, 15 minutes, and who knows? I say that. Next thing you know, it's 4 in the morning, and everyone's like, holy crap. It's funny. Bueller brings up, in the day, knowing the networks, right? Everything that was on every day, and you're like, oh yeah, CBS has it on this day, and on such and such day it's NBC. It's not like that anymore. Now there's a lot more choices, which is a good thing. But what was Seinfeld in the day was I wanted to be. They moved it. Yeah, they moved it up to 9 after certain shows went, and that was in the day so funny. The first season not good. I remember going, I don't remember the first season. And then, when they do the reruns, they start from episode 1, and I'm watching it going, now I remember why I don't remember the first season. I didn't watch the first season. And Jerry Seinfeld and the guy, his friend who I can't, Larry David, had said if that show came out now, they would have canceled them. But they gave them an opportunity to grow and change a few things. But that's really funny because, it was that Thursday night lineup on NBC is that famous, and there's other ones too, but that one sticks in my head with, again, Cosby and stuff like that, and Cheers and Friends, and but it was funny because the NBC had those two bookend, what do you call them, bookend shows. So when they had a new show, they stuck it in the middle because people didn't change their channel. They're like, well, I could change the channel, but then I'd have to change it back. This is how lazy we were. We're like, yeah, just leave it on there. Yeah. But yeah, that's funny. There's there's not a lot of stuff. I mean, do you watch Game of Thrones?
I am up to date on Game of Thrones. My niece made me watch every season, and I literally watched every season like 1 week, like a few months back. And
That's watching, my friend.
yeah, and I'm on overload. I'm never really good with names, but I can I'm good with the plot and everything that went on. So I'm up to date, and when the next season doesn't start for quite a while, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, there's 6 episodes. It's dropped off a little bit in my eyes. It's still very good. I will miss it when it's gone. I've read the 5 books. I don't think again, if you're watching this, George R.R. Martin, step away from the buffet. Please finish the last 2 books. I would greatly appreciate that. I'm not a voracious reader, but when I find stuff I like to read it. You know what's interesting? That'd be fun if they did a comic book Game of Thrones. Like they could give you, just like you said, different storylines, just like the Telltale games
didn't they?
Did they do comic books?
There have been some Game of Thrones comic books that have been outside of what the main storyline that's been going on.
Really?
Other bit characters that have kind of cropped up.
Wow, I did not know that. Here I am thinking I have an original idea. I never have an original idea.
They're independently published. I think the publisher is Dynamite. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check those out.
I think you're absolutely right, Bueller. So there's a few of them out there. I got into it, and then I was searching for the rest of it. Damn it, and
the comics
kind of reminds me to go back and see if any more of those are released.
AU Packmule says 3 books left. He thinks there's gonna be 3 books left for Game of Thrones. I just want him to finish the next one. You know what's gonna suck? He probably has them done. And he, as we've all said, he's just waiting for the show to be over, and he's gonna, mess with us. But
yeah,
the other one I like that no one watched, and actually I watched The Strain, the vampire thing. I thought that was really good, and I read the books. So then I went to watch the show, and I caught the last season and a half when it was really on. But I read the books. I go, that's pretty cool. I didn't read. Have you ever seen? I know there's comics. I didn't read them. I was thinking about getting a couple again. I get them on my Kindle because I just want to read them, and then I'm like, oh, I wish I had the cover, because it's beautiful art. Not that one necessarily, but other ones I've gotten. Do you own any of the Strain comics, or have you heard any good things, bad things?
I think the Strain is put out by Dark Horse, if I'm not mistaken, and it's also independent publisher as well. And I've seen him. I never really got into it. I watched the series when it first came out, like the first few episodes.
Yeah,
it was really dark. It was just like,
it is. Whoa. There's no. What's interesting about that series, and AU Packmule says very good books. They're excellent books. I enjoyed the series, and the series was pretty true to the books. They switch a little things here and there, but there's no happy time in that series. I mean, the happiest thing comes, and for me, it was a great scene. It's a 3rd season, the last season, and these 2 guys are playing dice baseball. The apocalypse has happened. They're like, who's up at bat for the Mets? Oh, my God. And they play like a couple, they play the dice baseball. But the thing that interests me about that made, to me, I'm going to be honest, made it to me, and for me, better than The Walking Dead is how humans screwed over other humans, because the vampires had the wealth. And they're like, listen, we need your help to do this, and we won't kill you. And they're like, so you're going to pay me and you're not going to kill me? Yes. And they're like, man, I'm like, you bastards. Anyway, but it was really, I enjoyed that. That's my guilty pleasure. I did a show because I thought some people might like The Strain. So I did like a review show, and no one came.
Nobody watched.
I was all by myself.
Now that show is it still going? Because it's been on for a while.
3 seasons.
Oh, that was it? I thought it was more.
That was it. And it ended perfectly.
Okay.
It ended. The thing I'll tell you, that's season 1 or the first 5 episodes, in my opinion, you had to binge watch because the first 2 episodes were tough.
Yeah.
Because they're building the character. If you didn't read the stories, and what happened was I knew about it. When it first came out, I tried to watch it, and just like you, Bueller, I was like, I have no interest in it. And then I read something about, there's books. It always amazes me when there's books. I'm like, there's books. Let me read the books. And I loved them. So I went back and I watched it. Anyhow. So we have 3 more minutes. Let's go to the chat. As everyone's starting to get tired, I can tell. Any last questions for Comics with Bueller or Devin or Dog or myself? Keep us entertained. Keep us here if you want. Throw some questions out, folks. It's been a wonderful chat, and great people in the chat. Great people on the panel, as always. I have to ask Comics with Bueller first. Did you enjoy yourself, my friend?
I absolutely enjoyed myself. You know, Al, I've been saying this. I've been looking forward to being on your channel for a while. I'm a big fan. I mean, you watch my stuff. I talk about every time I see you come into my live stream. I'm like, go watch Al's channel. I love it. It's one of my favorites.
It's awesome. Thank you.
Because I binge watch your stuff. It's like I can just put your thing on, and I've said this before. It's kind of like stepping back when I was a kid, listening to my transistor radio down by the river type thing into a game. When you cover your game coverage and stuff, and that's what it reminds me of. And I have a question for you, actually. So, I mean, you do it so well. Do you have a background in announcing or something like that? Because you come off as though you do. When
I was a kid, I used to fool around and, you know, like call the games in my head. And when I was playing dice baseball or football, and you're out in the street playing, you're doing your own commentary. But you know, I used to throw like an F-bomb in my commentary, like that ball's out of here. And then I go around the bases and go, but that was it. But it was something, I tell you, I saw Ron Juckett from Retro Sports Network do it. And I really enjoyed it. He's really good, right? I remember doing that as a kid. And I always wanted to have a talk show. I wanted to be on radio. And I was like, hey, there's this thing called YouTube. Even if I get like no one to watch it, I can watch it myself. And I'm my biggest fan.
There you go.
And I just enjoyed it. And it's fun. And what I enjoy about the channels I subscribe to, and again, I've listed some of them, and I have more, but the ones who have been with us the longest go in. Okay, I started chat with Al because something really pissed me off. I could not understand whose channel was it. I didn't get like What's Blazing in Sports, the boxing channel. My friend T-Dub, he does a marvelous job, and I'm sitting there going, and there's other channels too. I'm sitting there, I don't get how these people only get this many views. And this other channel, these jackasses, right, aren't even good about whatever they're doing. They get a lot of views, and then you see the comments, and you're like, you know, like underneath, I'm like, it's all 8-year-olds or whatever. Like if it's listen, it makes no sense. Okay, I get it. I'm a grumpy old guy, but not really, right? I'm sitting there going, so I said, you know what? I get a few people to watch me. If I can get some crossover, because I watch a lot of different things, right? If I can get some crossover from the retro sports game to the video gameplay to the people who talk about movies and TV, if I can get them to watch one another and spread the word, that's awesome. And I said, so I'd start doing chats with Al. And lo and behold, it's like these were always my most views. I'm like, so people will listen to my stupid stories. This is awesome, right? But
yeah, I'm always amazed that people want to listen to my stuff. It's
bizarre. No, your stuff is, again, it's not the same thing with Dog, Devin, JD, other people in the chat, AU Pack Mule, all the channels I like to watch and follow. And I wish AU would do more. He actually goes on other people's channels, and he's just he's awesome. Dog will attest to how good AU Pack Mule is. Oh, excuse me. I got the coffee belches now, and I'm holding it back because it's really going to be horrible. It might be YouTube Gold. I don't know.
I had to switch to water.
Oh, did you? Because you're a big coffee guy too. But I started the chats with Al was and ID Gesture. That was the other one. I'm like, so ID Gesture's doing this thing, and then like like when you're watching something, stuff pops up to the side. So I clicked on it. Right, it was similar. I'm like, how does this jackass? Right, and I watched like 3 minutes, and I don't get how that guy had all these views. I didn't get it, and I was like, I don't understand. But okay, whatever. What I like about your channel, I'll tell you how I met Comics with Bueller. He was in another channel's chat. I told it earlier. I was like, I wonder if anyone has the Planet of the Apes comics from the 70s. He said hello to me, and when someone says hello to me, I'm like, hey, let me look at the person's channel. So I go to his channel, and at first you had like a few videos. I'm like, oh, and what caught my attention is the background. I'm a squirrel. I like colors. You wouldn't imagine it from, everything's pretty much white behind me with a crucifix on the thing. But I'm sitting there going, that's cool, right? And I watched one, I enjoyed it. I watched another one, and then you're doing a live stream. I'm like, I'm gonna go in there, and I'm just sitting there. And when I go in someone's chat, I just say hello. I don't say, oh, come watch, blah blah, come join. You know, if someone says, oh, you have a channel or something, or what do you do? I'll say it. And you have one of the nicest chat communities, and nice people. It's a lot of fun. It's just like our chat. You're part of our community now if you want to be, but you're in. It's like when you're in, you're in. There's no getting out.
I'm in.
Awesome.
One of us.
Awesome. Anyway, let me go to the chat. Let me go drink Kool-Aid. Let me go to the chat real quick. As Moni says, rock on, Al. Something really, Bubba Husky, something really ground Al's gears. Yeah, I don't like when, I'll tell you what, if you can go watch on Comics with Bueller, his thumb down video, awesome. I'll just leave it at that. So everyone's a little tired. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna go with Dog, and then Devin, and then Comics with Bueller. I'm not even gonna sing on the. Well, I'll sing. You guys don't have to. I like to sing on the way out. And then I'll go and we'll thank everyone in the chat. It was a great chat. Hats off to the chat. Bravo. Thank you very much. You guys make it fun. I talk to myself. I do it all the time. But it's so much more pleasurable. It amazes me. People will take time out to come join us and have stuff to say. JD says, Al, I'm going to start a stream Walking Dead in 10 minutes. Just a heads up. Excellent. I'll be there, JD. I'll enjoy watching. So if anyone wants to see some Telltale games, jump over to JD's channel. I have put links for channels on the page. They're up in the chat, but I don't think you can see them anymore. But they're on the page. Please check them out if you haven't. They're fun channels. Give them a look. Give them a subscribe. Give them a shout out. AU Pack Mule, great stream, guys. Have a great night. The same to you guys. So thank you, JD, AU Pack Mule, Bubba Husky, Moni G, Ken Castro. So many people are in the chat. I'm gonna miss some. I apologize. ID Gesture, and many, many more as I keep scrolling up. So many people. We had a wonderful time. Bueller brought them all out. Greatly appreciate it. We had Jeffrey in the chat. He's a comic books guy. Check him out. I'm sorry, I don't remember the channel's names. And we had another Comic Core who was in the car driving home. He was the navigator though. So we had a lot of fun people. And Chrissy Oldstones and many, many more. Thank you very much for taking time out, spending it with us. And I will turn the floor over to Dog Sidious. And then, Dog, you turn it over to Devin, and then we'll go to our good friend, Comics with Bueller, and I'll have a few final words. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for coming out here tonight, folks. I appreciate it. Bueller being here with us, too, and look forward to having him next week. If you'd be down for that, coming to my channel next week, Bueller.
Yeah, awesome.
We appreciate that, and I'm sure maybe we'll talk a little Star Wars, maybe.
Ooh,
or not. Depends on what you're down for, my friend. So, yeah, you folks, thanks for coming out here tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, just got to say, mad love to all the people who are taking the time out of their day to sit and watch us zany idiots up here jabbering away on just nonsensical, non-important stuff. I mean, it's important to us and obviously important to you, but in the grand scheme of life, it's not. And honestly, you know, for me, it's about the fans. It's about the people who watch. It's one of the reasons why I keep doing this. And I got nothing but mad love for all of you. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms in the comment section.
I love when he says that at the end of his videos. When he did that with our chat, I was like, that's awesome. That is awesome. So, again, thank you, Dog Sidious. Thank you, Devin. Thank you, the chat. Thank you to Chris from Stratomatic, Delaware, who left us a little early. He'll be back next week. Remember to check out all these great channels. And a big shout-out and thank you to Comics with Bueller. I was in shock, right? I thought you're like being polite. Hey, when can I come on your show? I was like, so I tell these guys, I'm like, you know, Comics with Bueller, right? And they're like, yeah, he's great. I go, he wants to come on with us. And I was like a schoolgirl, he wants to come on with us. Oh my God.
You know, it's bizarre for me to because I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to brag or nothing, but other people have said that to me, type thing. Oh, you really want to come on my show? I'm like, yeah. What do you mean? I want to come on your show. I enjoy your show. I want to come and interact with you guys and stuff like that, because I'm supposed to be on another show next week. And he's like, and he was kind of had the same thing. I'm like, dude, I'm just some guy in my room just looking at comic books all day. That's all I am. But this was awesome. I want to thank you guys so much for having me on here. I look forward to doing it again. I am a fan of the show, and I'm a fan of you guys, and I'm honored to be on here and to, you know, interact with you guys and get to know you guys a little bit better. And everybody in the chat who I might not be familiar with, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you for the questions. I thought they were great, and I had a good time, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Dog, next week we're going to be on your channel, correct?
Absolutely.
And again, I just want to apologize to my members on the panel. We were supposed to be on Dog Sidious's channel this week. And then Comics with Bueller on his show yesterday says, we're going to be on Al Red Sox fan channel. I went, oh, no. And they were nice enough. I sent them an email going, guys, is it okay?
Man, I'm sorry to do that to you.
No, that's all right. But so thank you. I just want to say thank you very much again. Dog Sidious, Devin, OG, the original Grognard, Chris from Stratomatic, Delaware. And thank you. You've been a member of our community. You might not know it, Comics with Bueller, since I met you, because you're a good guy. Your channel's growing. It's going to continue to grow. You are what YouTube, like the rest of us, is good and about, having a good time, enjoying people's company in the chat. And also hats off to the moderators, Chrissy, Oldstone, who's no longer there, and JD. They whacked out a couple of dinks. Thank you very much.
And hats off to the Ohio State University for their victory over Penn State.
They came back and won?
Absolutely.
Hats off to them. And I like to say thank you to Comics with Bueller. Check them out. I know I keep saying it. Check out all the wonderful channels in our community. And one more thing. Ron Juckett, Retro Sports Network, good friend of the channel. He's very close to 100 subs. I would greatly appreciate it if we can get him to 100. That would be awesome. And if you just check out his channel, he's a great guy. I give Ron a lot of credit for everything he's done. I'm not going to explain it. You check out his channel. You'll understand why. A great guy, Ron Juckett. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody. And I was going to sing, but I'm not going to. So that means I'm going to sing double next time. So health and happiness. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye. God bless, folks. You know what's coming.
Night,
you know
folks.
what's coming. Peace!